In the heart of Yoruba land, a storm raged, not for days, not months, but for 16 brutal years. A relentless war of resistance, a clash of fierce ideals, and a struggle that shattered the backbone of an empire. This was the Kiriji War, known to those who lived through its fire as the Ekiti-Parapo. Long before cannons echoed and battle cries rang across the hills of Ekiti, there was Ibadan, a city not born from peace, but forged in the fires of war. Born from the ashes of the fallen Oyo Empire, Ibadan rose from a simple fortress to a mighty military titan, built on blood and driven by unyielding ambition. The early 1800s marked a turbulent period in Yoruba land. The mighty Oyo Empire had fallen, leaving behind a fractured land scattered with displaced people, desperate warriors, and refugees searching for safety. On a strategic hilltop, a group of these displaced souls, warriors, mercenaries, and refugees alike, came together to build a fortress, a refuge from the chaos that surrounded them. This humble defense camp would soon grow into a city unlike any other, Ibadan. But Ibadan was not born of peace or prosperity. It was forged in the relentless fires of war. The city grew quickly, built on the blood and sweat of warriors determined to survive and thrive. Ambition pulsed in the hearts of Ibadan's founders, and their vision was clear, to rebuild the fallen empire and to dominate Yorubaland once more. Ibadan's warriors were fierce and battle-hardened. Under the leadership of legendary commanders such as Olu, Aunola, and Aralatusa, they launched campaigns to conquer neighboring towns. The once proud towns of Ije, Egba, Iza, Ekiti, and Igbamina fell one by one under the city's expanding control. Each conquest fueled Ibadan's rise, transforming it from a mere fortress into the military titan of Yorubaland. The city's rapid ascent was as brutal as it was impressive. Ibadan demanded loyalty and tribute, crushing any who dared resist. It became a symbol of power and ambition, built not on diplomacy, but on the strength of sword and strategy. This chapter sets the stage for a saga of conquest and resistance, a tale of empires rising and the unyielding spirit of those who would fight to reclaim their freedom. As Ibadan's influence stretched far beyond its walls, its rule transformed from ambitious conquest to ruthless tyranny. No longer content with merely collecting tribute or establishing authority, Ibadan imposed a brutal reign over the towns it had conquered. The architects of this iron grip were the agile, fierce enforcers who became the embodiment of Ibadan's will and wrath. The agile were no ordinary messengers. They were warlords armed with muskets, machetes, and an unyielding determination to crush resistance wherever it flickered. Sent into conquered towns, these men ruled with terror as their weapon, enforcing harsh taxes and seizing the best of every harvest to feed Ibadan's growing appetite. Farmlands were confiscated, and those who dared object faced public flogging or worse, disappearing without a trace into the shadows of fear. Women and daughters, once protected by the community, were left vulnerable under the agile's reign of violence and abuse. The fabric of society was torn apart by their cruelty. Local kings, once respected rulers in their own right, were reduced to mere puppets. Forced to bow before the very men who once answered to them, their authority was stripped away. In some towns, festivals and markets, the heartbeat of community life, were banned or taxed heavily, suffocating traditions and livelihoods. Even prayers, sacred and personal, were commandeered to begin with praise for Ibadan's supremacy. The agile's presence was a constant, chilling reminder that the city's dominance was absolute and unchallenged, at least for a time. Yet history shows us that tyranny breeds defiance. Beneath the surface of fear and oppression, the embers of rebellion quietly glowed, waiting for the right moment to burst into flame. In the serene hills of Ekiti land, in the small town of Okemesi, the long-simmering tension finally reached its breaking point. During a sacred festival, a time when the community celebrated their gods and sought blessings for the year ahead, terrible news shattered the peace. The agile, Ibadan's ruthless enforcers had desecrated a local shrine, stolen food meant for the gods, and brutalized the town's women. This was not just an attack on property, it was an assault on the very soul of the people. The sacred was violated, and the vulnerable were abused. The community's pain and outrage echoed through the hills, lighting a fire that would ignite the resistance. At the heart of this fury was Fabunmi of Adesoya, young warrior and prince of Okemesi. Consumed by righteous anger, Fabunmi could no longer stand by and watch his people suffer. Armed with a fierce resolve and a sharp blade, he stormed the quarters where the Agile had taken refuge. His blade showed no mercy. One by one, he cut down the oppressors. At the heart of the chaos, Fabunmi struck down an Agile named Oten, a brutal symbol of Ibadan's iron grip. This single act of defiance was more than a personal vengeance, it was a spark that would kindle a wildfire of rebellion. News of Fabunmi's courageous stand spread quickly across Ekiti, and neighboring towns. Warriors, chiefs, and kings who had long bowed in fear found renewed strength in his example. The quiet simmer of resentment turned to open rage. The oppressed were ready to rise. Fabunmi's fury was the catalyst that transformed scattered dissent into a united front, the beginning of the legendary Ekiti-Parapo Confederacy. In the wake of Fabunmi's fearless rebellion, the scattered peoples of Ekiti, Igbamina, and neighboring lands recognized that their strength lay in unity. Alone, their voices were silenced under Ibadan's iron fist, but together, they could roar. At the palace of the U of Oten, warlords, kings, and warriors gathered with a shared resolve that echoed across the hills: enough was enough. Bound by sacred oaths and the unbreakable bond of blood, they formed the Ekiti-Parapo Confederacy, a powerful alliance united in purpose and spirit. Though they lacked a standing army, cannons, or advanced weaponry, what they possessed was far greater: unyielding will, intimate knowledge of their land, and an unbreakable love for freedom. Their home terrain, the rugged hills, dense forests, and hidden valleys, became a fortress, sheltering them from Ibadan's overwhelming might. Skilled herbalists offered protection through age-old remedies, and the fierce loyalty of families and clans forged an invincible spirit. The Confederacy rapidly grew. Towns and villages rallied to the cause, and new allies emerged, including the ancient kingdom of Ifa. The once scattered and isolated communities transformed into a disciplined, determined force. At Esiela, nestled in towering hills, they established a war camp that blossomed into a bustling town of over 40,000 souls, warriors sharpening blades, blacksmiths forging iron in Ogun's name, and women and children breathing life into a city built for war. The Ekiti-Parapo became more than an alliance, it was a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of unity. Their struggle proved that freedom was worth any cost, and that a determined people, bound by shared purpose, could stand tall against even the most formidable empires. As the Ekiti-Parapo Confederacy gained momentum, a new force emerged to lead the struggle, a figure both feared and revered. Ogadimbi Akbakungboro was no ordinary warrior. Born in the humble village of Ataran on the edge of Ilesa, what set him apart was not just his unmatched strength, but a mind sharpened by wisdom and a spirit forged in the fires of traditional Yoruba wrestling. From boyhood, Ogadimbi was different, bigger, stronger, faster, and braver than his peers. His agility and mastery of combat earned him the name Ogadimbi, meaning, the one who subdues the mighty. Even before the war drums called, his reputation spread like wildfire. He was a living legend, a symbol of hope for the oppressed. Despite his reluctant nature, the call to lead could not be ignored. When he arrived at Esiela, the heart of the Confederacy, his presence changed everything. Young warrior Fabunmi of Adesoya, the spark of rebellion himself, recognized Ogadimbi's greatness and willingly stepped aside, offering Ogadimbi the role of commander-in-chief. Under Ogadenbe's command, the Confederacy transformed from a loosely allied band into a disciplined, formidable army. His strategic brilliance and unwavering courage inspired thousands, and his leadership renewed the fighting spirit of the Ekiti-Parapo. Ogadenbe was not only a master of the physical battlefield but a skilled tactician who understood the importance of unity and morale. His arrival marked the turning point in the long war, a tide shift that promised hope against Ibadan's iron grip. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the lands of Ekiti, Isha, and Igbamina. We've seen the first steps of the Ekiti people's fight for freedom, and the tension is rising. But this is just the beginning. The real battle is yet to come. If you enjoyed part 1, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the thrilling continuation in part 2. The warriors' resolve will be tested, and the fate of their people hangs in the balance. Get ready for more action, betrayals, and incredible moments as the rebellion ignites and takes them on a journey they could never have imagined. Part 2 is coming soon, don't miss out. Until then, stay tuned, stay strong, and keep the fire of hope alive. See you in part 2.